Once again, I think most are here from previous sessions, just a few who are not. So I very quickly welcome you all to the second day of the second edition of RISE. First and foremost, I'm sure you realize this is not a typical conference because it's a series of roundtable along with other activities, of course. And we don't really have a panel or presentation or speeches as such. This is really, the format is totally different for a very simple, but I think, to my mind at least, very special reason, that the belief of two things. Number one, that to really have development happen, we need to cut across silos. And somewhere, if we talk about technology, we only talk about technology. When we talk about livelihoods, we only talk about livelihoods. We rarely see that cross-sectoral discussion happening. And so therefore, our attempt is really to make that happen and how we bring that together. The other is, and I guess a few more of the thing, is that, sometimes you think when you sit on a table and you start seeing other people around you, you start wondering, why am I here? What is it that I'm even doing over here, or what is that person doing here? And that's because you're so used to seeing, the similar kind of person to you sitting on a table, because that's how most conversations are developed. Our whole idea, again, over here is to make you think differently. And the only way you start thinking differently is if you do something different, So when you start talking to a person who is not, let's say, has the same experiences as you or the same background as you, the likelihood is that you will start thinking maybe from a different perspective. So that's the other objective that we have. And how do we really, start thinking differently? Because we all know innovation only comes from that. I wouldn't say out of a box because I think it's been done to death saying that, but definitely comes from different thinking. So we would definitely want to look at that. And last but not the least is we want the event to have an outcome, an output. We don't want this to be just another place where we exchange visiting cards and walk away. Yeah? We want it to be a place where we come together, talk about something, and go together and work together and create partnerships and collaborate. So this is really the objective of RISE. And I'm not going to take up too much more time on this. I'm very quickly going to hand this over to Ms. Meena Surwala, who is the Global Head of TCS on VIII, their Employee Engagement Program, which I think many people are aware about and has been emulated across even in the Tata Group and even outside. So I'm going to quickly ask her to please say a few words and then we come back to the format of how the event is going to roll out. Yeah.
Thank you, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, Karen, for having me and my team members. I have Mehul here with me, and Vikram and Anish, who do all the hard work, late work in VIII. I'm sure your team has done a tremendous amount of hard work to put this program together, and I would like to first give you your exact that you do months of planning and putting together to have us here today. I think it's a sheer force and energy required to get us all together. I'm just going to say a few words because I would like to hear more from the others. But VIII is a platform where we started very small with the concept that was introduced by Mrs. Mana Ramdurai. She was our CEO wife, and the idea was to bring everyone basically just simply together with the idea of caring and sharing. And that is what TCS is, together, caring and sharing. We are all started working in very small numbers. I think I started working in TCS when we were just 300. And when this concept of together and caring and sharing started, we were about 18,000 and 2002. We had become so big, the organization, we felt that we never even had time to say hello, and we met people with very stone cold faces, and we passed by people that did not live with each other. And so Mrs. Ramdula and I came from a culture that warmly greeted each other, we knew about each other's families, we attended marriages, and even when somebody passed away, we were a small, united little organization, and that has grown large. We got 18,000, oh my God. And when we traveled to different geographies, we felt so disconnected. And so one day I asked somebody sitting next to me that why don't you, wish the person sitting next to you? So I said, what matters? going to be gone in 6 months. Why should I waste my time? You know, so that set us thinking that this is a very young generation. They call it the VIII generation. Next time it will be the Z generation. So I'm, like I said, oh, okay. So we said, okay, what is it that they want? So that's associate engagement. If you look at it from that point of view, we said let's move with the times. And so maybe they want to have, you talk about joy at the workplace. So we said yes, maybe we should do things that bring them joy. And she taught me a very important thing, which I still keep in my mind today, is that you should first think about making your associates, your employees happy. And first I said, oh, let's do things, let's go out and let them, make community service. What are you talking community service? First, are they all happy? These 18,000 associates, like she pulled my ears. So I said, yeah, why? They're happy. Have you seen their faces? Look how, they look. They're sitting in front of these idiot boxes that are computers. And they are all hunched, like monkeys, because they have this posture and they are working. And IT organizations, we work 18 hours, sometimes 20 hours. So they have these tremendous diseases like arthritis, they have strokes, and they're young people coming from the age of 22. I have a young man working with me, but he's healthy. He works for my colleague. And so we started thinking that yes, we need a very holistic PCSL. So we have these various clubs which are fun, but also we designed them to keep them very active, healthy. And so we have a trek club, we have, right? Dance club. So we have 7 such various clubs which they are in charge of and they are controlling them, they are participating in them. So it's a platform for them run by them. We decided that this is part of the associate engagement, and one of the things that we started was volunteering for the community outside, which they like to do. Now all these things is what we have surveyed within the organization, and these are all the activities that they would like to be part of. We also started off, of course, we learned by trial and error. Like Mrs. Rangaran was very good in Bharatanatyam, and she was a classical singer in Carnatic and Indian classical music. So she said, why don't we try this? So she said, I was the only one sitting with long faces. Nobody would attend those classes. Nobody wanted to learn Bharatanatyam. So it was a salsa that they would like to do, or it would be a hip hop, dance class, and not attend the Bharatanatyam. So we learned through various mistakes and what the young generation wants to do. One of the things they wanted to do was also serve the communities outside. And that took off very well. Today, voluntary has become the, stronghold, I would say, of my team. And we have more than 25,000, 30,000, keep growing in numbers. I think my data bank here would grow better than across geographies, even across the world. I think that's taken off really well. And it's a house of Tatas. I think it's in our DNA to basically give back to the community. I think Tatas believe, mankind, people are more important to them, not just as a business, but what they do is through their various charities, the House of Tatas, and various trusts. 66.5% of their entire profits goes back to the community through their various charities and trusts. So I think it's in our blood, it's in our DNA that whatever we do, serving mankind is the foremost thing in our mindsets. It gives, a volunteer is somebody that finds who does things because he's very passionate about it. You don't need to really, promote it so much. I don't think it might really advertise or we promote it. It's word of mouth that basically has worked for us the most. And the various, focus areas we have is education, health, environment, women empowerment. And these have really taken off well. And being in the IT, I think that's also their core competence, where they have worked with solutions not only for within the Indian parameters but also overseas, where they can work for various web solutions, right? And of course I can go on for many hours, but in a very concise nutshell, this is, I think, if I'm not going to take up too much of the time, there's much more to my do, but this is basically what we do.
Thank you so very much. So this really quickly is that one is, as you know, we'll start with a small, very short introduction, your name, your organization, and maybe just for a line or so about what you do. So we have some sense of why you've kind of come here. Second is we will be, each one of you over here will see that you have 3 of these which are different shapes. Yeah. The idea is to really put down your thoughts as they happen based on our theme, which is connect, communicate, collaborate. Okay. And what we will do is basically the first one, okay, is connect. All right. So if you can just, you don't have to write it now, as you're thinking, as you feel, okay, I'm talking to this person, I must connect to that person. But it could be also a person that you don't, is not sitting right now in this room, or it could be somebody outside and who maybe you want us to help you to connect with. So it could be a person, it could be an organization, it could be a resource, or it could be some information. So that's really what we're looking at in terms of connect. In terms of communicate, we are looking at what is the kind of information you have to share, best practices, learnings, insight, anything you want to put down. I know we're going to discuss most of these things, but also which is very nice to have is to be able to have it in your words rather than our words when we put it down. And last but not the least is the round circle, which is really the circle of impact that we want to create, which is for collaboration. So any ideas for collaboration that you want us to follow up on later, then please put them here. Yeah. So and you can put your name at the back or not put whatever. Depending on obviously if you want us to get back to you, we need your name. But otherwise, this is really it. Now to go from here, I'm going to hand it over to the experts at our table. Okay. We have Vikas Puthran from VIII and I'm sorry, my mistake. I'm already willing to introduce. This is what happens, right? So I'm going to hand it over to Vikas, and then Vikas is going to take us further from here. But I must say a big thank you to our experts, because without them, we would not be able to hold rise the way we do. It's impossible for everybody in IDOBRO to be able to have expertise in every topic. The only reason we can do it is because of our experts. So, we really owe a very big thanks. And so I'm going to hand this over to you, Vikas, and please take it further before I talk too much.
Thank you, Karen, for the kind words and the great show so far. Sorry I couldn't attend all the sessions, but I hope we can participate for that. So, since we're a little late starting on the session, let me quickly get to the topic. So I'll just briefly introduce myself. I'm Vikas Puthran, I work for VIII. VIII is a donation platform or philanthropic stock exchange, where we do things like payroll giving, and we list NGOs with us, and we channel funds to the NGOs to various programs. So this pass the mic to right. Payal.
I am Payal. Can you hear me? I'm Payal Gupta, and I work for a company called Celebratory Networks. So I started Celebratory Network around 4 years ago, and the intent of starting the organization was to look at how do we look at all moments of life, because the ones which are not pleasant, we generally say, oh God, why did that happen to me? But in the little bit of experience that I've heard from people around, that really makes us who we are. And it is important to look at also acknowledging that. So that's really why the name Celebratory Network. But what we really do is we work with organizations to build leadership capability, and that can be both the social as well as the not-for-profit organizations. And my story really started with the not-for-profit, because when I stepped out of the corporate and I was a nobody, that's when they took the risk with me. So they really gave me the opportunity to come and experiment and do a lot of stuff which I couldn't even imagine. So that's really what we do.
My name is Indranil Chaudhary. I work with HDFC Standardized Insurance Company, and I'm a vice president HR over there. Though I'm from HR, but large part of my job has been with CSR. In fact, 5 years back when we started our journey for because this kind of forums help us to collaborate, also us to identify who are the people available or the kind of work happening outside the DFC which we can partner or we can partner with. Thank you very much.
Hello friends, good afternoon. My name is Mehul Kotari from Tata Consultancy Services Maizil. Well, as I explained to you guys, VIII is a platform to engage the huge voluntary strength which we have our employees in TCS. We have various voluntary intervention models within the community. So that's what we do. So looking forward to connect with all you guys during this session and explore more opportunities how we could grow together and more and more communities and stakeholders could benefit from us.
I'm Harish Sadani. I run an NGO which is called Men Against Violence and Abuse. It's the first organization in India trying to empower women by engaging men. Because all our efforts everywhere in the country are on empowering women, as if that's the only solution. The root cause remains untouched. We are there to reach out to boys and young men, and we have enough programs for which I'm looking for committed volunteers. But there's a dearth of such people, including for some of our programs like the youth helpline. I've been also running a program called Yuva Maitri. Now, Maitri is there. This Yuva Maitri, which started 8 years ago. So I've been sensitizing and mentoring a group of select young men, and that experiment has gone to 7 districts of Maharashtra. So this is 21 years, of which 10 years I was also working at GlaxoSmithKline, looking after the CSR. Last 11 years I'm working full-time for this entity.
Good afternoon friends, my name is Paresh Padia. I'm the senior manager from IMFA, Mouth and Foot Painting Artists. So we support people with disability, we empower them to become aspiring artists. Now they are differently able, they don't have hands, so either they use their mouth and foot to paint, and we market their paintings to various forums that is say with a lifetime contest for A, B, C category of artists, at which level he is, and he gets a lifetime pension from us. So we are here to provide a livelihood and we have a sustainable model. And we are also working on a project where we try to develop their skills. And they need to compete with normal artists, so we try to engage it and open a training foundation. So there is a skill gap which we need to fill up. So we're trying to do that. We're trying to connect with corporates who would like to support people with disability. So if we have a CSR, if there is a CSR opportunity for us, so we have all the opportunities in place and we just start. We're trying to catch up with the CSR and norms. Thank you very much. And we have an artist here live, we really demonstrated enhancing his skills. So if you wish to connect, just have a look at it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sindhya Dasgupta. I'm one of the co-founders of Healthcare Services Company. Our company name is Arogya Online Healthcare and Information Services. We are predominantly, our business is around building, digitizing the health records. And through the health records, that is through the gateway to deliver healthcare services. So the thing is that we have our key focus areas are basically into the first services that we would like to cater to our senior citizens and people with disabilities. And we start right from the digitization and building the services around that. So that's what we are.
Hi, my name is Serena Fernandez and I'm working with an initiative called the Ashram School Project. It's still in its formative stages and the aim of the project is to collaborate with various corporates and people to help the Ashram schools. The Ashram schools, if you probably know, are schools that are run by the government for particularly the tribal areas of society. And a lot of these funds that come from the government are basically focused or are just enough to cover bare minimum for these students. these students coming from long distances, they don't live anywhere near the school, so they tend to spend the entire day in school. They go home only for vacations, and these schools aren't equipped to they don't have the facilities that you can stay the night, or they don't have facilities particularly for girls. And there are many of such schools that are struggling to meet the education demands, and at the same time other facilities so they can exist as healthy students. We're looking at this particular forum to see what corporates look at as CSR, not as a corporation but as people. And we're also looking at people to be motivated for this cause because they believe in it and not because they just want to get done with a CSR objective. So hope to connect with such people.
Hello. Hi friends, this is Adish, again from DCS 23. Much of the things are covered by Nina ma'am, Mehul, so there's nothing much. And basically I look after all the data management part, and I'm the SME for the few of the portals which supports military. Thanks.
Hello everyone, this is from DCS 23 again. Maybe Nina and Mehul have already covered most of the things. So what do you do?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Anisha from Power Technology. We're a company which is into making mobile applications and other digital strategy. So basically, I'm here to understand what are the needs of this particular sector and how we can contribute our part as enablers and as tools to provide solutions to some of the problems that are existing in this segment.
Hi, my name is Atula. I'm from Forum Community Development Foundation, an initiative of New Media. We have one of our magazines is called CSR Mandate. So we cover and highlight all the initiatives and best practices of corporates, NGOs, and PSUs too. So I'd love to interact with each one of you and focus on what you're doing also. And this is my colleague, Arvind.
So thank you all for the introduction. I'll just broadly highlight some of the key points to give some sense of direction to our audience, and then we'll take it from there. So one is from an employee engagement, what are kind of the avenues for employee engagement, what is the modus operandi. We already heard Nina speak about how they do it in Maitri. We'll hear a little bit more about what kind of employee engagement activities are being done. Is there any platform that is being used? Is there some technology? Is there any other kind of platform that is used for employee engagement or can be used? Or is there a gap that needs to be bridged so some of the technology partners can bridge that gap? Is there an impact that you want to create or is created from a social sector point of view, from an employee corporate point of view, and in general humanity point of view? Then from a collaborative ecosystem sustainability point of view, is there some topics that you want to bring out on the table and probably discuss that? What are the key challenges from an employee point of view, from a corporate point of view, from a social sector point of view, from a regulatory point of view? Is there some challenges that can be addressed, or can some collaboration be derived there? And maybe a little bit about case study of some of the good work, especially Maitri and agency Standard Life are doing or have done in the past. Maybe that's an inspiration, maybe that's an information also for the group to see what kind of things can be done. So let me start off by probably bringing in Indrani and talking about some of the things that they have done and how they've done, and then we'll take it from there.
Hello. Okay.
I will start with the kind of work we have done, and that will unfold how engagement is important and how it will impact the society. As I said, we are an insurance company. In the years like 2006, 2007, every insurance company was running for business. Nobody wanted to do CSR. There was no thought because everybody was in loss. We do CSR at that point of time. And we were hiring people across the country, and we were traveling in Gujarat. And our Gujarat region is one of the best regions in terms of performance, and it's a large region. We were traveling, and we remember it was on a Friday, Saturday weekend, and so somebody came and told us that Saturday morning most of the managers will not be available because they go to schools for some teaching. So we were really surprised. I said, we don't have any tie-up in schools. Why they go for teaching? So when we inquired, we realized that there is one manager who is from training department. He goes to a school to teach students of 6th, 7th, 8th on financial literacy. And the objective was that kids from underprivileged background or from slums, they generally, whatever money they get at this age, they misuse this money. They start drinking, they smoke bidi and all those things. So this guy said, I will teach them the importance of finance and how do you save money and encourage them to understand the savings and how to use money, etc., etc. And he made a group of 15-20 people from HDFC that started going to BMC schools in Ahmedabad and Baroda. And that became so popular that by the time it was 2008, we realized that it has gone to some 2,000, 3,000 kids across Gujarat. And on 2008, we were told that you will come because there is some program happening and Dr. Abdul Kalam is coming and HDFC Life will be awarded for this. We were in shock. He said, we have not done anything. Why will we be awarded? Is there something wrong? And then we went back to Gujarat and we realized that there were people who were saying because of these programs in these small societies or some small patches of these slums and where the students had come, there's a huge impact that they have seen in their behavior. And from there we started our CSR journey. And by the time it was 2012, across the country we had trained some 15,000 students on financial literacy. And that is how we started our engagement with CSR. So what I'm trying to say is that if you want to do CSR, then you have to engage with your people. If you want to cut a check and give it to an NGO, that is very easy to do. But you do not know who is going to spend the money, how the money is going to be spent. And there is no impact on people. Your people do not know. The second examples I will give is that when this Uttarakhand disaster happened, and we as a company, we said that we will give some 2 crore rupees for Uttarakhand. So while we were making the proposal, a couple of employees came back to us and said that we will also contribute. So we floated a mail to all the employees saying that those who are interested, they can contribute to Uttarakhand flood release and we will deduct it from your salary. You can't imagine in the span of 7 days, we collected some 2 crore rupees from employees only. And we were shocked. And we as a company, we said that then let's add another 2 crore from our kitty. So we made 4 crore. And I was telling somebody that how we made houses over there and how challenging it was. And today, there is a function which is happening in Dehradun and the Chief Minister is also there. Where we are inaugurating around 150 houses which have been given to these people who had lost their house. So that's an example of employee engagement. Our entire framework of CSR evolves around employees only. There is no other way that we do CSR on as an HDFC Life framework. So when we did Teach for India, whether it is Mumbai Marathon, whether it is
good for food, any program where the employee involvement is there, we try and participate in that. And recently what we have done, because of this 2% thing has come up, we have started thinking of the large projects. And we have signed off a large project on health, we have signed up a project on livelihood, and all these projects would be volunteered by our own employees, though there will be a large NGO working around this, but it will be volunteered by our employees. We are also studying, if some of you know about the VIII. VIII is a rural BPO based out of somewhere close to Bangalore and Chennai. Okay. So what do is they go to villages, they train people in villages, especially women in villages, and make them call center employees based out of those villages. We are closely studying the model, and probably we will venture into this in the next couple of years if it works out for us. So there are many more things I will talk about this, but I would suggest that others also should speak.
So HDFC Life is probably one of the companies. I have been fortunate to know them quite closely. So they are one of the companies who are inbuilt in the culture that they don't cut out checks. So they always like to involve, and they're very democratic. In fact, they involve the key stakeholder, which is the employees. Even in the decision-making process of where they need to invest, what they need to kind of engage in activities as well. So it's not driven down from the top to say, okay, this is what we're going to do and now pick. So that's one of the greatest aspects I think which should be encouraged and emulated across the board as well. That involve the key stakeholders, they are fit enough to take the right decisions. Maybe provide them the platform, provide them the resources to kind of do what they would like to do. Now, having said that, I mean, maybe we can look at some of the social impacts. Maybe I want to get Paresh into this thing to see if somehow, since you do a great work which is providing livelihood to disabled or differently able, is there something challenging aspect that you would like to engage, find corporate partners or any other partners, maybe for skill development you probably mentioned. Is there something that you want to bring to the table?
See, there is a cost in hiring trainers. So if there have been artisans from the corporates who would like to part-time train our artists to enhance their drawing skills, because our main aim is the existing beneficiary who don't have hands, but they need training. So if I approach a big artist, he would not give his valuable time, right? He would not be able to concentrate on them. So maybe we dedicate some hours or some week a slot for these artisans. Either they come to your office to get trained to the community network program, or if somebody can come to our office, then we can train these people.
Are you only based in Mumbai?
Yeah, we only based in Mumbai, and we have artists across India. So we have about 18 artists in India, out of which through our global network, 2 artists have formally done a fine arts degree overcoming their disability. So they were not disabled by birth, but because of an accident, they unfortunately lost their hands and they didn't know what to do. So it took 3 years for them to develop the skill, and since mountain foot painting artists had that platform, they went ahead and through our sponsorship program, they could make few aesthetic paintings, and we sponsored them, and they kind of did college and submitted the projects, and they are professional artists. So we're creating the entrepreneur program for them and the platform. So, and it works like an organization. So for example, as I said, a student artist he would be in a bandwidth of maybe 6 months to 18 months, depending on his proficiency. So we don't have that skill development program for them immediately on the platform, because we don't have that infrastructure or artists who would who ready to train these people.
Actually, that is one thing which I have mentioned even to TCS when we were discussing, that when we look at the employee partnership program and designing that, we have to think a little bit more than the normal standard requirements or the normal standard kind of programs that are designed, And I know that both the people sitting on both sides of me are doing that, which is why you'd like to know more and more in that sense, and also think about what else can we do, because otherwise typically what happens is, either go paint a school or that's one typical one, or the other typical one is go teach them English. So I mean, while of course those are also required, I'm not belittling this or not saying they're not required, but if we can discuss more with NGOs, or we can discuss a little bit more with the community to understand what they need, then I think that really comes up with great employee volunteering opportunities that can really help, like in your case, the school, really help them as well as make it very meaningful, because they can actually see that transformation. It's not just, employees also see that transformation.
We have identified this. We do get, initially we were selling prints, but then since our two artists who have professional degree, they have been engaging in programs in various corporates or various forums, and the student artists, they kind of imitate them and learn from them, which is not on a regular basis. So they cannot move to the next level. A student artist gets sponsorship from our global body about $150 to $200 a month. But we want him to move to the next level. So for which he gets a $500 sponsorship from us. So the end result would be that if he becomes a senior artist through our training and development and skill program, he will be sustainable, he will be earning $1,000. So we only have 18 people. So if we open this training center, it will cover various disabilities also, where we are kind of giving them an opportunity to take this as a hobby or a profession. Everybody cannot be an artist with multiple disabilities. He has to have an aspiration, or we need to coach him, or we need to counsel him and see if they can make career out of this. So maybe we have a state-of-art gallery which is sponsored with trainers and infrastructure. We will be able to open an art gallery. We already have artists who have developed their skills, and if they get proper training and development, we are the
So and how do you sell the products?
We are selling them as prints online and through corporate. We work on the SCA model, since Mountain for the Training Artists is a social enterprise, and it is an association of handicap artists, so it works like an organization. So we kind of work as a vendor and supply with a lot of corporates. They buy a lot of items, the calendars, diaries, seasonal products from us, where we put their paintings and their profile and their cause as a marketing initiative, or cause marketing, or CSR initiative, you can say, some way or the other, where by selling those, we are able to generate royalty and fund them. So that is the objective. We've been sustainable for the last 50 years, and the chapter is in over 80 countries. So it is a model. What we found in India is we don't have that state-of-art facility which other countries have, and we only 18 people. There are so many accidents happening in India, and we don't come to know about it. There is no reporting, and we are not able to identify because we are a small organization working out of Mumbai, and we have artists who are spread across various Taiwan, Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, and we are not able to reach them. If they could get trained, and we already have a platform, we can promote the paintings. Maybe they can get commission paintings, and we can do fundraising events for them, where the paintings could go for lakhs. But they have to have the skill set to compete with normal artists. So we try to drive that and see if we can open an art gallery from there.
So I see there is a collaboration already possible between Maitri and so maybe briefly, if you want to touch on something and take it offline to say discuss that further. So there is one opportunity there. I would look at it from one is from a training perspective, probably even from because they're technology experts, probably they can provide some technology
Marketing platform. So there are 3-4 areas we focus now. We have developed is we have contact builders, architects, and companies. They put commission paintings from them. But there are so many paintings around, so there could be an opportunity to have some paintings from these guys so they're sustainable.
On the website.
Yeah, we have a website, and plus we also now have ATG, so people could fund through their payroll giving programs.
You need more visibility for
Yes, and that's why we are trying to increase the number of artisans and reaching out to as many people and doing programs in these forums. And third thing is if employees could volunteer and teach these guys, and maybe they could market through social media, our page, or promote our artists. We reach as many people. In hotels, upcoming hotels, if there is an opportunity, we are not able to reach them. So maybe those inquiries could be converted and diverted to these people. Rather than you buying products or merchandise, if imported products. Why not serve the community?
So for all those people who have not seen that wedding, you must see it. Awesome
demonstration happening right there. In fact,
and I just wanted to bring probably parallel to say from a entrepreneurial leadership training. Is there something that you can look at collaborating with them? In terms of maybe one is, I would say some of these people probably require soft skills as a basic training, and maybe you could identify some people who can be either mentored into probably future entrepreneurs themselves, that you would lead them as a catalyst, also as an alumni of probably your association to come back and propagate your model as well.
So, I think one of the things in my experience when I work with NGOs, whether they're NGOs or SMEs or big organizations, after a certain stage of growth, organizations get just there, and that stage is the adolescent stage. So when you want to really grow and you have all the right things, but after some point in time, growth gets difficult. And that's the stage where, in my experience, when you need more support from an external system. Because the internal system is as good as it is, but the external system gives you the kind of, so say for example, marketing, or say for example, you need some external person to help you look at where is it that you're not reaching out, or maybe to have people who can come and train your people. That's the space which I think a lot of organizations either don't do or they do it within their own circle. So if an organization looks at, how can I upskill my people? And right now one could be around your own core competence, which is around being artists. But the other thing is also to look at probably how can I have the entrepreneurial bent of mind? Because you may have the skill, even I'm an entrepreneur in a way, but I still need to go out and reach out to as many people. So what's my entrepreneurial bent of mind? At times I'm not friendly with finance, but that's important. At times I don't know how to go ahead and probably price my product. So these are things which are important, and when you get in external people to just kind of support you on this, they may not be there for you for life. But if they are there at that key moment, that shift from an adolescent to come to the prime stage, to really be out there is important, because otherwise competition is there. And if you're not there in at the right time, then it kind of slows the pace for a lot of people. So one thought that does come to me is, I work with a lot of corporates as well as NGOs. Some spaces where I work is where employees want their parents who are retired to be engaged in some kind of activity. Like I have a mother-in-law at home and she wants to be doing something. And I know a lot of people around who I work with, they want their in-laws, they want their parents not to sit at home, because that creates another kind of dynamic. So how do they really utilize them? And some of these could be ways to kind of engage. So one is the employee. Employees have this concern around, I don't have time. So, and that is real, that's real. It's a real problem because they've been 12 hours, 20 hours in office. How do you engage some of these parents who are sitting at home and they have great qualifications, they have great skills, they just don't know how to utilize their time. And when we work with people who are looking at what to do after retirement, this is a great validation for them that they're still important. That's a piece which I've been promoting and talking to organizations on. How can you help parents who've retired or in-laws who are trying to really make use of their time? So I will, from my end, try and connect you with a few people, form a small circle of keeping your parents busy and in a constructive manner. So it's not just about social cause, it's about making them feel that they're going to office or they're utilizing 2 days of their life of a week, and how can they keep themselves engaged. So that's something that I will get to know.
So is this something the employees are doing or this?
Yeah, so it's a small organization right now. It's actually in the film industry, where all after a lot of glam, suddenly when you're not really important as you were earlier, what really happens to you? So a lot of them are trying to see, how can they make their parents not go into some of the other activities which are detrimental, and how can they make their life more meaningful. That's a space where I can try and work.
So I know we do corporate engagement programs like going for Geomina or Job Giving or Disability Week, where we do these programs. So we charge for these workshops, and what we say that our global motto is self-help, not charity.
Yeah.
So what we do is we either auction the painting or we say that we participate in a commitment and support these people, where they will come and talk about their experiences and maybe in that case employees would get motivated. So that has been a blessing in disguise for us. So that is on and off. We do at least 2 events a month. Some are paid, some are unpaid. And the challenge is when we kind of get a space in a gallery, so we have to move the painting from one city to another. And logistics problems also we have faced, and the response also, if you don't do proper PR or awareness campaign, then footfalls are also not there. So there has been some positive negatives also. Maybe we are not targeting the right people at the right time, as you rightly said. So we tend to reach the right people at the right time. Maybe let's go like on that.
Though we spoke about what we
Yeah.
can do,
One is we will have a campaign for youth. I can confirm you now only. I know you have been in touch with us. Second is we have more than 2 lakh customers. Okay, sorry, more than 20 lakh customers. Okay, so these 20 lakh customers we can reach out, but I have to check the regulatory rules, whatever is there, and I have to take approval from the compliance team. But we can reach out to those 20 lakh customers somehow and do this. And we can also do auction in our offices. And I will ensure that the senior management of HDFC Life participate in the auction and buy those, so that we create a better campaign across the company and outside also. So,
And coming from HDFC Life is like endorsing, right?
we have been part of one of the Maitri events at Kensington building a couple of years back. So maybe we can again see and then there is an opportunity.
So I just want to get on to maybe the impact part of it, maybe bring in Harish to say from a impact perspective, what are you looking for, and is there either the corporate or the employees can participate in making the social impact, like you're saying. I mean, it was very interesting to hear what you do. Probably a lot of people not heard of how you attack a problem. Yes. The problem is not a problem, but you're attacking it from a different angle.
Actually, we are working at 2-3 levels. One is preventive level, where you reach out to young men in schools, colleges, and communities. So 13 to 17-year-old boys from disadvantaged communities. That is one of our programs in collaboration with 3 local organizations. So one is 10 to 11 colleges of Mumbai select, where we work on a long-term level and select leaders and mentor them. So that is an ongoing program. So there is another program we have started called the Yuva Maitri Helpline, which is reaching out to distressed teenagers across Mumbai. So through our office, which is a counseling center, which is manned by volunteers who answer the calls after this bit of training, and they document the calls. So there's a dearth of volunteers. In fact, there's a program called Institute of Psychologically Handicapped, IPH, by Dr. Narkani, who ran a similar helpline by the name Just Maitri, which is more than 10 years old. And solely volunteers only are running it. So we started as a pilot thing 3 years ago, the Yuva Maitri Helpline, which was started by a well-known actress, Sonali Kulkarni. So we had 10 to 15 volunteers as a pilot for the first 2-3 years. The last 1 year, there's a dearth of committed volunteers. So that is one area. The other area of engagement which I am looking is expertise, and it's which I have, that is sexual harassment at the workplace is a new aspect where, under the compliance of the various laws, many of the corporates, many of the NGOs are still not yet awakened. They have to follow certain laws as per the new law. And one of the things is having an internal complaints committee of the organization where a representative of an NGO has to be there. The other is having a series of gender sensitization programs which will cover staff at all locations and cover all the employees. So now this is a test year for corporates. From March 2015 onwards, there will be a set of government people who will be overseeing whether corporates are following this or not. The act is 5 months old, but yet people are, not yet awakened. So that is one expertise I have. I have developed policies for companies, how to develop. Most of the Tata companies have a policy which is a gender neutral policy. They would say we are following this law, which is called Sexual Harassment of Women at the Workplace Act. So I think this is, if I as an organization would go and approach corporates that I would like to have gender sensitization program for your staff, they would not be much takers. But now the law has already put it, so we have the mechanism, I have the team, and we have quite a few companies with whom we are working. So I think one aspect which I want to tell that the adolescent boys with whom we are working in 3 communities, we are having a series of interactions with those boys every week. And when we are mentoring them on gender sensitization and all, along with that, financial literacy and other skills have also to be imparted. And these are boys, the background I will just tell you, one section of the boys are from Muslim and Dalit communities, the lower socioeconomic. One class is children of commercial sex workers, and one is a fisher folk community. We have deliberately chosen these 3 disadvantaged groups, the need for which is there, as acute as we have seen in the Shakti Mills case or the Nirbhaya case, that when the boys from the community, when there is no healthy sexuality, a discourse on that, they will resort to whatever is available to them. If their first source of information is pornographic films, and there is no dialogue at that moment with those youngsters, then, if they fall into the trap and they, do something wrong, we are not offering any institutional solution to them. So we decided to take up as a long-term project, and we chose these 3 different disadvantaged communities. It has just started in August, but there are ample opportunities for people to fit in their expertise.
So I have a question to ask. In a program like what you are doing, I think it's really a unique approach to the whole issue, because as you said, we typically focus on the women and we forget that men are part of that issue, and we have to of course engage with them. So my question is that is there a way for us to kind of do like a buddy system, where an employee can be the buddy for a youngster from his class and kind of take them through some of that program? I know you're doing mentoring, but that's a very formal process which perhaps an employee may not be capable or willing to do, because that's a big responsibility. But even if they spend some time, talking to them, and I think it kind of changes. I think it will change ways of thinking on both sides. It's not just that we are helping them, but we also gain from something like that. Do you think something like that, we design a program would make sense? I mean, even the corpus to say. Do you think employees would be interested?
Maybe I can add to that. There is one program that I know of, which an NGO runs, which is actually, they call it mentoring, but it's actually like a buddy system, where they assign one person to one student actually, who is in the graduation mode. So either he's doing engineering or some professional course like that, and from an underprivileged background, because a lot of times, they probably get an admission in a school or college, but there is nobody, because he's the first generation being educated. So there is nobody to guide them to say what courses to choose, how do you plan study material, what lectures, what projects to do, how do you get out to the workforce. So there is a lot of mentoring required. So there is a system where the NGO actually, they arrange like a Skype call every week, and they have a certain routine of how they go about this process, which is similar to what you are saying. So probably that is something also which your Maitri can participate, because there is a lot of educated, skilled people in your organization who can actually be a mentor to people like that.
What we have is, as you said, in many of our interventions, we have this teach one concept. So that's what the concept is. That it could be either school children or college going students as well. And we also have a kind of a peer educated model. So, in the same way you act as a peer educator, because many a times
this children or this guys out there, they would not open to a senior person, but if there is somebody coming of their own age, then the communication becomes far more easier for them. So
we could kind of explore this model of
because as Nina said earlier, we have this Gen Y as an employee who belong to this Gen Y and Gen Z now. So the average age per se is So the average age these days is around 25 to 27, and that's actually fit the bill for you. So yeah, we could look at actually that model. Maybe after this session we could further discuss it.
Also, I just wanted to add, maybe, unfortunately, we don't have any government representation in this group today, but maybe I'll give that to Karen to kind of connect them to government in the sense, especially for counseling. Maybe you need to be connected, for example, one government agency, I think probably should be connected to the Maharashtra board during exam time where you're running your counseling sessions. So probably they need to propagate or provide you visibility to say that there is such a thing available for counseling. So I'll give that to Karen to propagate that. Maybe we can bring in Ms. Das Gupta also to say if there is something from the social sector you want us employees, corporates to participate.
Actually, see, Arogya Online, I said, started off as building a platform for digitizing health. And the starting point would be to getting certain basic information on board and then digitizing the health records of people. But the other services we would like to build around the health card and health records. But there is a very key sector, as I said, which is very core to our working, is providing healthcare services, home healthcare services. And there's a huge population of senior citizens who are staying in the cities, who are staying alone. They need healthcare services support at home, which cannot be catered to by the hospitals. There are also people with disabilities where the families find it very, very difficult to cope with health issues of the disabled. So we want to be enablers over there in this space, and we are looking at in home healthcare services. Like how Kyle said that we are looking for engaging retired parents. So who can engage and if they are healthy and they can move around within the locality. These kind of services, we would like to see if we can build such kind of a workforce. That which works independently. They have whoever has a passion for handling these kind of things, we can extend a lot of services like these to the people. So I was thinking that retired people, there are a lot of women who have left their jobs to attend to their children and families. So these kind of women who can give some flexi working hours, and they can it is a contribution to society. And senior citizens and all, if their health concerns are very, very real, they don't know how to handle their small problems. Very simple thing like, if they have somebody coming, and even companionship is a very important part. Second thing is that if they have somebody coming once in a week and, preparing their whole medicine kit, then, simple things like monitoring the blood pressure and, taking the sugar, just recording all those things, it can be very, very simple. There are families where senior citizens are having dementia problems. So they don't have anybody there's a real dearth of people, caregivers to attend to dementia related issues. And families don't know how to cope with them. And it's not nursing that is required. There's a caregiving opportunity, there's an opportunity for companionship. And sometimes it is a proven fact that people who are in the early stages of dementia, if they are made to do certain, activities at home itself, you can delay the progress of dementia and all. So we need to have a caregiver force. And what we are looking at is that yes, we want to work in this space as a service area which we want to focus upon. Yes, it will all be backed with that whatever other health related matters, we would coordinate all those services also, we would build in those services. But primarily these issues, if they can be addressed, we can work on building a force. Then we can try with, like in the previous session, I think there was somebody from Baramati who said that in Baramati they are having small certificate programs where they will train people and give us. So So I told her that we would not employ those people as our employees, but if you can help us build such kind of workforces, so we would expose them to our members and the families who would need these kind of support systems. So this is the thought process here.
So before I proceed further, I think you should join the group and just sit there behind the relax.
Okay.
No, join the group.
I'm not supposed to join this group, but it's okay. Thanks. I'll just sit here. No problem.
So quickly introduce yourself for the benefit of the rest of the group.
Rashid Rajawala, Center for Advanced Development. I advise the voluntary sector on legal issues.
Okay. So going to maybe
no introduction.
Right for us who already know him. Maybe can I bring in Sarina and say from a rural education, did I get that right?
Yeah.
Perspective, is there something that the corporate or the employees can participate?
Really, in this school that we're working with, they are the students that belong to the body tribe, and that in itself is resource enough that can get them through their education and probably even as a future career. But that's not being looked at as an option by them. So what tends to happen with them is they're always patronized in terms of donations, or they, for example, they're given furniture in one classroom. That is 1 out of the 10 classrooms that are there. And you will never find students hanging around there. So in all the other classrooms but that one. And because they use the same space for the classroom sessions and sleeping at night, they move the desks out at night and then they lay down their mattresses. So I think that it's not often in sync that we work. There's always the urban that thinks of the solution in a particular way and the rural in a completely different way. So there needs to be some kind of a platform where this exchange happens, and that's what we're working towards. More than just taking their hand and making them walk the distance, it's about teaching them how to get there. And this platform also looks at doing things event-wise so that we don't mess around with their education system, their timetables. I mean, we need to respect that they have an academic year charted out. And so everything that we do is always in sync with events that they're already having in the school. So for example, the last event was an art event that happened in sync with the Independence Day celebration. And the theme of the drawings that the children had to get was my school or my dream school. Now through that, and as a bunch of architects together, we've analyzed these drawings. We've come to realize that though some of the aspirations resemble urban schools, there are little nuanced sort of expressions in those drawings that talk about spaces that are very particular to that location, very particular to their customs that we had no idea about unless we actually sat with them and talked to them about it. So when we talk about rural, I think it's always looked as the other and the very poetic or romanticized kind of a space, but it has very real problems, and if we as urban people need to understand, we need to go there, spend some time, and go and leave our judgments behind first of all, so that we can really take in what they have to say. And at some point draw the line, because they are not the experts everywhere, neither are you. So you need to get a pool together with all the experts. You need to provide solutions that are in sync with what the problems that they're facing.
So I think I have experienced that, especially with corporates. A lot of times, corporates have, especially in an urban area, we have a certain mindset of this is what we want to do. I'm ready to volunteer 10 hours a month, but maybe that's not the time when the sector actually needs you. So I think it has to work both ways. From the social sector point of view, also the NGOs also have to come out and actually say that this is actually what we want, and can you fill that gap? And it's not just the corporate saying that we want to do this, which is probably useful or not useful to the sector, right? So
But
that's
I
one of the
just,
aspects.
I'd like to tell you over here one
Sure.
story that's worked for us is that we've traveled, TCS volunteers have taken over called anyway. So that's about 60 kilometers each way. They go every weekend. Today we have built a school over there, and there are about 450 children, and there's a hardly girl child, and I think more than 50% now the girl child is there. Of course, it was a labor of love, but our volunteers have been regularly going every weekend. We started with the school. We have interacted with the villagers, learned their ways. First, when they used to see me, I used to wear western clothes, and they were actually frightened. They would go into their huts, and I used to wonder why am I so freaky. And then I realized that they've never actually seen somebody, dressed. And so I started wearing salwar kameez, and they talk in a funny dialect, not even Hindi or Marathi that you understand. And the volunteers also started visiting their homes, understanding, bringing them out. The women actually never even come out and talk. But today the children, we started a women empowerment center. I will cut the matter short, but it is that, it's not that every corporate is like that. It's like we've taken over the entire village. We started, you can disperse since you go there more often than me. We have a women empowerment center. Most of the women, I think there are about 20-25 women. They earn more than 8,000 rupees. They make jute bags, marathon, Bombay marathon bags, Bangalore marathon bags. So the advancement from zero, not being able to talk, they're now heroes of the village. We have all sessions on health, and, on AIDS, on alcoholism, counseling for the children. PCSs interact with them on various topics. We also teach them, like on education. There is awareness on various.
What we actually do is, in fact, the model which Nina is saying, it's an ideal community development model, which is now being accepted in the Tata Group as well. So as Nina said earlier that we have these focus areas of health, education, environment. So all these focus areas have been ideally deployed in this area. So as she said, we first started in education, and as the number of children started increasing, we also constructed a school for them. And IT being a core competency, we also wanted them to get into computer education. But as Nina said, it's been far away in Panvel. So they always had this problem of electricity. So we actually helped them with a hybrid model of solar panel and windmill to power the computer lab. So right now, the status quo is the solar panel and windmill power around 7 computers, 3 lights and 2 fans for around 6 to 7 hours each day. So that's taken care of for a long period of time now. And once we started interacting with the children, we thought we should also interact with the parents. And also there were a few awareness sessions also been happening wherein we were interacting with them and trying to understand the root cause of why they were not sending the children to school, which were they were giving very less importance. So other than education, we also concentrate on the ladies in the village, and we help them set up a small scale unit, which as of now they make jute products. And since TCS is an associate sponsor for Mumbai Marathon and the main sponsor for Bangalore 10K run, so the bags which the marathon runners get is actually made by these ladies out there in Panvel. So that is the kind of opportunities we have given to them. And there are also a lot of Tata Group level collaborations through which they have benefited.
Now they actually come from Panvel all the way to Crawford Market. First we used to bring them, by train and handhold them. They never been like Bombay was like New York for them. It was like they never been out of their little village. But now they are able to even commute and do all the shopping. They understand what is food and they don't come, and that's a big thing change for them. They're so well educated. Now they do Bollywood dances. We have their annual, functions. You should see how they dress up in jeans. The kids, they become like hep. Like now they say good morning, ma'am, and like it's like first whenever they say thank you, I give them glucose biscuit packets to bribe them to say good morning, thank you. Like every time I would say one packet to say. Now they're hello, ma'am, and it's like full confidence, like they're so bindas, and it's just the same school and this big secret because they interact with the TCS, you can see the whole
the idea is, we could look at something like this and how we could engage the community first. It may not be purely education, it could be livelihood, or it could be some other avenues also how we could engage with them. So.
And then it just goes on, like we want to play cricket, and then we want to play football. So when there's a synergy and they have interaction with the outside world, and like it's a cooperative, so they keep on growing. I mean, it's a relationship that keeps building. It's just that you have to have the right organization. There's never been money that we talk about in Maitri. We don't have money ourselves. We are always asking because Maitri is not CSR. Since we volunteer, my volunteers don't get paid. They put everything from their own pocket. They come also on their own expenditure. We don't give them anything for their efforts. They're not acknowledged also. So it's something that they do because they love it and their passion. They get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to come to Panvel. That's the kind of effort that they put into it. And I've had complaints from various their parents. My son is not going abroad for further study. My son is not getting married. Please tell them, to leave Maitri. I get these kind of, complaints from various people because they get so caught up with the kind of, they get attached to the children because there's a kind of, acknowledgement that you don't get in your personal lives properly. You don't get in your work environment. You don't get acknowledged for all the efforts you put. You may have a terrible boss, who keep working like a donkey and nobody says bravo, but this particular child is waiting, she's coming or he's coming, or you feel you made a difference in one person's life. I don't know, because and I go there also, I feel contentment, I feel joy, whatever. Everybody's equations are different, but there is something that binds them through various initiatives. All different schools, I see that people love teaching children.
No, I think what Sadhana was trying to say, and I kind of actually correlate what TCS does. What she's saying is that when you start working with a community, and we've been discussing this actually with her, is that how do you really make sure that you're addressing the real needs over there? And that's why I think the success of what TCS does and what Maitri programs are about. They start only with a needs assessment. They have a full process to doing an employee volunteering. It's not an ad hoc approach, and it's not about definitely it's about the heart. There's a lot of thought ahead, a lot of head that is also used into that process. So, in fact, we just was talking about him that if he's doing data management and monitoring and evaluation, then he should really be in the other session.
He made himself sound that I but he's one of my most important resources who probably should not just went down. But he does all the most important work that.
So I think that a needs assessment is really the important part, and then making sure that you have a proper process put into place, and finally the monitoring evaluation so that you have the impact, which is what you were talking about, Vikas. You have the impact to show at the end. So that will be the most efficient way to get more employee engagement programs into your system, as well as to get more corporates interested in kind of working.
So in fact, the rural program that we have, is the most successful one, and we're supposed to be there only for 5 years. It's still ongoing, and we don't have the heart to leave it because everybody loves to go there, and we've really made it. It's like spread to the entire village, and like the entire community now knows us. But I'm sure, I hope that all corporates, we don't really work with NGOs. What we want to do is become the NGO. We want to learn, like we did rainwater harvesting, so we want to understand how it is. And our volunteers from TCS want to learn everything and then implement it. That's the way they are, So I'm sure that everybody should want to utilize that. I hope they should. But we love to work. I don't know where you are located.
Right now it is a collective. So we put all of our documentation into a website, and there's a blog that updates. And because it's a collective of architects and some of us are students, it's really formative. It's because we went down there for one of the architects that happened previously, and the condition to make this a community participation, we wanted to make it. It's an ecosystem in itself as a school. So looking at collaborations with city schools also. So we had one school go there, engage with the students on terms of arts and crafts. So they taught them something, and the students from the school taught them something. So there are strategies to see how we can take this forward.
the initiative that Selma is working on is really, really unique because typically we are either NGOs and because that is what we want to do, we are doing it, or we are corporates and because we want to kind of give back or support, we do that. But this is like something which has been so organically that has come to me that I really found it very, very interesting and we are very hopeful that we'll be able to, because it's just so many of these young, and that's again a big thing, that they could very easily be looking at careers, which they have to, of course, but looking at that, they're using it to the best possible for a problem that they see in their normal lives. I think, and it's a collaborative thing, which is again very much close to our heart as individuals. So, how can you really bring together people who are like-minded and kind of take that further? So, I hope we get more opportunity to engage with the other people. Yeah.
I want to bring in Manisha and quickly say, if you, from a technology point of view, is there something that you can provide in terms of collaborative tools or something like that?
Technology experts are there. So that will be happening in this segment. And then we will come out with how we can connect. Because what I generally feel, this is about employee volunteering, but I feel that even otherwise, somebody wants to do something, but I want to go and do something in Karangal Hospital. It's like who to call, what to do, I have only 1 day in a week. So how to go about it? So for normal people also who want to do volunteering, maybe we have some way we can connect the two. This is something that I'm still thinking and understanding the whole ecosystem.
Why did you like to add?
So I think I faced the side of the corporate, and when I work with NGOs, I've seen this side. One of the things, like you just mentioned, is the connect, and I've seen often employees or individuals don't know where to reach out to, and NGOs don't know how to get people who would want to kind of engage. And just like you shared, this entire piece, I just remember there was some website called Karma Yoga or something, but I don't know if it gives you the actual experience of getting off the phone and talking to someone. So I've had families, I've had people who said that, my parents have dementia, my dad has dementia, but I don't know what to do with it, and there is not enough education around that. And then also I don't have enough time because I'm caught up. So these are, one of the concerns I see is that how do you get both the ends to meet? And that's something you can provide, because these days all youngsters have an app of everything. So I think this is an app which can really be there and for people to just click and see what can be done. Also, one of the areas where I think from a community perspective, if we can, when I do this Gen Y business of working for them, one thing that I've realized that really works is that the sense of ownership and a sense of acknowledgement, which goes missing. So if in the social arena we can really get that makes a big difference. And I think so from a consultant perspective, if I were to say, their need for feeling that I am making a difference is really high, which is not something which I would see my parents want. For them it was probably money, it was settlement, etc. But if I look at all the managers, Gen Y managers that I'm working with, their need is really for how am I making a difference, and that's a key that I hear most people. So even when I do one-on-ones with people, I talk to people, they say, yeah, in the job mein, how will I make a difference? How will I make a difference to my family? They are very, very young people. People at the age of 30s, at 28 saying that, which is very unlike what I've heard. So I don't see that people are not ready. They just don't know how to go about with it. And I think if this can be brought up to how can we make a difference, that's the piece which I would suggest in the social sector we can really bring for.
We've given Manisha a lot of thought, a lot of food for thought. So we hope that we will hear. If I might just say one line, and then we can kind of summarize it. But one of the things that I also kind of wanted to say very interesting is that this is not an event, as I kept saying. This is a platform, and this is just the beginning. In 2 hours, we cannot, by any stretch of imagination, solve problems or really do substantial things. But I think it's a beginning. It's definitely a beginning. I think we've had some wonderful announcements already. We've had some wonderful offers already from both the corporates who are sitting here. We've had some ideas that so it's a great beginning. I think we have great beginning, and we have some potential thinking that we've got to do. So I think this is a start, and I obviously am looking forward to how we would be kind of taking it forward, how we'll be in touch. So I'm going to hand it back to you, Vikas.
Just hold my thunder now. Just the thanks. No. Basically, I just want to reiterate what Karen said. So it was the ideal platform where our intentions actually are bearing fruit, where we wanted to connect people and see if collaborations are possible. So like it's already pointed out, there are collaborations which are taking place. So feel free to connect with each other. If you want to connect through me or with me, please feel free to do that as well.
Because I was waiting for that in the beginning. You're not saying anything about Give India, everything else is. So what are you going to do for us to Give India?
No, Give India is a collaborative platform. So we are a platform, and we want to be catalyst as well. We want to be neutral to all parties concerned, to enable everybody to participate. So that's our goal and mission as well. To create a culture of giving as well. And we want the experts to do what they're best at doing, and we want to facilitate that, we want to fund that as much as possible, so that nobody cannot do a good work because of lack of funding. So that will not be the case. So having summed that up, thank you all for being a part of this roundtable. It was a pleasure having you all and hearing about whatever you have to say about your expectations.
We have two last administrative things to kind of do. One is there is a small feedback form. Believe me, it's very brief. If you could fill that out, I would truly appreciate, because we cannot do an impact assessment if we have no feedback. So please do that. May not be impact assessment, but at least some kind of output and understanding. Second is I have a couple of announcements in the sense. One is that there will be a report for the roundtable, obviously, which will be shared with all of you. Photos will be made available. We would request you to please share your experience, good or bad, yes, on social media. It helps to create some buzz and bring visibility to the kind of things that we're doing. As you know, workshops are happening in parallel. There's going to be a workshop right immediately after this, held by Mushir, in fact, which is really going to be a very, very interesting topic on CSR governance and FCRA requirements, which I think are one of the most complicated and difficult topics from everything else that we know in CSR. So that's going to happen right now as well. And of course, tomorrow we have the education roundtable. Since this is a very small group, I would say we also have one more session which is not on the agenda, which will be happening from 2:30 to 4:30. Okay, it's a special program where we are going to be launching our own foundation, and Noshid has been very instrumental, he's been the person to help us do that. So we will be launching that. We have some very special speakers coming in tomorrow. So I would definitely invite all of you to be there. The last is that, we have space down as chat tables where you are free